I never thought I'd live to see a grown woman order a 15-year-old girl to take off her clothes in a public park, and then threaten to fine her if she didn't. But that's exactly what happened when the president of my HOA, Shelley Cranford, decided that my niece's t-shirt violated her layered clothing policy. She didn't know that the kid she tried to humiliate was my sister's daughter and that I used to train judges on constitutional integrity. It started on a quiet morning, the kind that's supposed to be peaceful. Alina had finally agreed to go outside after 2 weeks locked in her room. My sister had passed away not long ago, and that jersey she wore, it wasn't rebellion. It was memory. Her mom's scent still clung to the fabric. She walked her therapy dog around the trail, trying to breathe, maybe trying to heal. Then Shelley appeared, sunglasses, clipboard, fake smile, and that air of authority people wear when they've forgotten what decency feels like. Layered clothing rules apply to everyone, she said loud enough for joggers to stare. If she refuses, I'll issue a citation. Alina froze, 15, trembling, holding that leash like it was the only thing keeping her standing. I stepped in. She's a child. Shelley crossed her arms. Mr. Levin, don't make this harder than it needs to be. So I pulled out my phone and hit record. Already done. You just ordered a minor to undress in public. Let's see how the board defends that. If you've ever seen power crack in someone's face, it happens in a second. A twitch, a flinch, like the mask slips. She stammered something about tone and miscommunication, but it was too late. I'd seen the citation form in her hand already filled out before she even saw Alina. She wasn't enforcing a rule. She was hunting for someone to punish. We walked home in silence. Alina didn't cry. She just whispered, "I didn't mean to make trouble. I didn't have the heart to tell her she hadn't done anything wrong, that the trouble had been waiting for us the moment we moved in." The next evening I went to the HOA meeting. The clubhouse reeked of lemon cleaner and control. Shelley sat at the front, smiling that politician smile. "We've had several incidents of improper attire in shared spaces," she said, tapping her spreadsheet. "We should reinforce community standards, especially for youth." No mention of what she'd done. No apology. Just corporate phrasing for humiliation. When the floor opened, I stood. "Yesterday, your president verbally directed a minor to remove clothing. That's not enforcement. That's abuse. And she did it with a pre-filled violation form." Shelley's lips tightened. "Mr. Levin, this is exactly the time and place I cut in." The room went silent. One board member, Priya Sharma, lowered her eyes, but she didn't speak. I didn't push it. I just wanted it on record. That night, an email hit my inbox, another violation notice. They were doubling down, claiming Alina had been defiant. That's when I knew this wasn't about dress codes. It was about control, about making examples. So I did what I've always done best. I read the fine print, the HOA bylaws, the meeting minutes, and there it was, the so-called layered attire amendment, passed during an emergency quorum 6 months earlier. No emergency listed, no sign-in sheet, just Shelley's digital signature. I'd seen sloppy power plays before, but this one was void, legally void. Still, part of me hesitated. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I should just let it go. My sister's gone, my niece is grieving. Maybe peace is better than principle. But then I saw Alina sitting at the kitchen table, tracing her finger along that old jersey. She whispered, "She made me feel like a mistake." That did it. Peace could wait. Principle couldn't. The next morning I went to the HOA office. Shelley was there typing, pretending to ignore me. I dropped the notice on her desk. "You know this hearing has no basis. You built it on a rule that doesn't exist." She didn't blink. The board approved it unanimously. "Based on a fake quorum, a fake emergency, and your signature," I said. "The outage you cited was over by noon. Your meeting was at 8. For the first time she paused. Calculating. "You're welcome to present your concerns during the hearing." "No," I said. "I'll present the truth." That night I couldn't sleep. HOA codes, they always sound official. Visual harmony. Community standards. But underneath it's just control wrapped in politeness. My sister used to say Shelley wasn't evil, just small-minded. I think small minds with power are the most dangerous kind. A few days later, a plain envelope slid under my door. No name. Inside, 2 documents. One was a meeting log proving the power outage ended hours before the vote. The other a draft with Shelley's handwriting in the margins. This closes the parent loophole. Whoever sent it knew exactly what I needed. Then another letter came. This one official glossy HOA stationery summoning me to a compliance hearing for refusing to cooperate. Classic tactic, bury the target in bureaucracy until they break. But I'd written that playbook myself. At the county clerk's office, I requested every HOA filing for the past year. When the clerk handed me the stack, I nearly laughed. The proxies Shelley used to claim quorum, no signatures, no timestamps. She'd faked the entire vote. I sent the proof to 3 people: my brother Elijah, a civil judge, my old colleague from the university, and Priya. I didn't know if she'd respond. She did 2 nights later, voice trembling. "You were right. The proxies were forged. Shelley told us to sign later. I can't testify, but I'll send my notes." When the file came through, I listened to the attached memo. Shelley's voice, smug and cold. "We'll call it visual harmony. Everyone hates the word decency. Too easy to challenge. And if anyone complains about the age clause, bury it under parental compliance. No one reads bylaws anyway." That was it, the smoking gun. I told Alina everything. She looked at the papers, carefully quiet for a long time. Then she said, "So, teacher, the way you taught your students." I spent the next 48 hours preparing like it was trial day. I printed every clause, highlighted contradictions, built timelines. Alina sat beside me, folding pages, sorting copies. She didn't say much, but when she slipped that jersey into her bag for the hearing, I knew she was ready too. The clubhouse was full when we arrived. Board members, residents, even a reporter from the local weekly. Shelley sat center stage, calm, polished eyes, sharp as glass. I stood. 6 months ago, this board passed an emergency amendment. No emergency was declared. No quorum verified. One of the proxy votes was falsified. That makes every enforcement under that amendment illegal. Shelley's smile faltered. This hearing concerns a citation, not governance procedure. This citation was born from that procedure, I said. You targeted a grieving minor under a fake rule. Whispers spread. Shelley tried to cut me off, but Greg Talbot, the treasurer, raised his hand. "I need to speak. My name was listed as a yes vote. I never voted. He's telling the truth." You could feel the shift in the air. Shelley's power, the fear she used to hold the room, it cracked. Greg turned to the others. "I move to nullify the amendment and all citations under it." Silence. Then one board member raised a hand, then another. Unanimous. Shelley didn't even vote. She just sat there, gripping the table, face drained. But I wasn't finished. I walked to the table and laid down one last envelope. "Before you adjourn, this is an email from Shelley to your legal counsel, written 3 days before she confronted my niece. In it, she called the new enforcement clause a strategic deterrent with high emotional return. She planned to use minors to scare adults into compliance." A murmur rolled through the crowd. Greg stared at the paper, pale. "Is this real?" "It's her wording," I said. "I have the audio to prove it." Shelley shot to her feet. "This is character assassination. I've given 5 years to this community, and you've used that time to weaponize it," Greg interrupted. "You'll step down by tomorrow morning or we take it to county compliance." She didn't answer, just gathered her papers and stormed out, heels echoing like gunfire. No applause followed, no cheers, just quiet, the kind that feels like fresh air after a long storm. I didn't feel victory, just gravity. I looked back at the bored, tired faces, guilty ones, some relieved. The meeting adjourned and people left quietly. Outside, Alina waited near the path. She didn't smile, but her shoulders were square. "I didn't think she'd break," she said. "She didn't. I told her." The board dropped her. That's worse. For weeks after, I heard whispers. The board rewrote its policies, introduced a 3-member resident review panel, and added a clause no minor could ever be cited without guardian consent. They called it the Levin Standard. I didn't ask for that. I just wanted peace. But peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from standing up when silence becomes complicity. Because in the end, power isn't lost, it's taken back. And sometimes it only takes one voice saying, "No more," to remind a neighborhood what justice sounds like.